Hello, everybody, and welcome again to one of those podcasts. So, today it seems like we needed to talk about what's going on in the AI world. I mean, authors using AI. We've been using AI for so long. Even when you use like Grammarly or you use what is it, Pro Writing Aid or similar tools, you're definitely using an IT tool or a solution that has some kind of an intelligence, so it gives you the impression it has some kind of an intelligence that's basically helping you create the product that you want. And the objective is to use the least possible effort and return the most possible outcome, which is the best work possible. And we know that. That's something that we've been experiencing, that we loved it, and now there is other tools out there that are actually doing a lot more than what we expected. One of them that attracted me is Mid Journey. Let me show you how it is. So we will talk basically about these few tools, and then we'll get to some discussion about the main objective of the podcast, which is outlining. So let's do this. I'm gonna reduce my image from the screen. So this is actually Discord. If you didn't see it, Midjourney is this. Okay, so Midjourney. If you have a Discord account, go to midjourney.com. There's a link in the website, and you just click on it. It adds the Midjourney to as a server to your Discord. It may ask you to pay or subscribe. I haven't subscribed, so I'm not using the service because once you subscribe, the objective of this is that it actually give it prompts. You can say, for example, an arm. For example, this one here. It doesn't show me exactly what prompt they use, but I would assume an arm with night view, with many eyes, blue eyes in this case, with maybe something. So you give it a prompt, and the AI tool within Midjourney will basically generate a something. Okay, the example is like this one, for example, Madman, or whatever, and it generates images. See, it generates. You can actually there's some option in there that's called spinning. You can spin it, and it keeps coming up with outcomes like this one, for example. Pretty sure this guy, or maybe the other one, they kept spinning it and keeps coming up with an image that may look the same, but it's just spinning. And then once you find the one you want, that's the one that you will use. See, he said discover the new prompt to make these. So, but I'm not paying. It's like $10 a month. But I'm not at that point yet to spend $10 a month for something I'm not even going to be using. And the thing too, all the generated art here is open source. That means anybody can use it. At least that's what my understanding of this. You can look it up, but it seems like you don't own it. So if you create something through Midjourney, it's not yours. You don't have the right to it. You can use it commercially, but it is not yours. So you cannot claim it as yours. And if somebody else wants to use it, they can use it. So, for example, all these, I'm going to download them in few minutes, and I'm going to use them if I want to. You can do the same as well. So this is awesome, awesome stuff that you can find here. Free stuff. Like, look at this image. Great, isn't it? But you can use it because it's in Midjourney. Look at these images. Anyway, that's basically something I wanted to share, which is a brand new tool. If you want to create a book cover specifically, you can use these because you can come up with some prompts that will generate great outcomes for you. This is all generated by the AI. Okay, depending on what the prompt was, it maybe says a man inside a cave looking outside and he sees a mountain and a red planet and another moon, says something like that, you actually describe what's in the image, and you're going to end up getting a whole bunch of stuff that looks the same. So, like, look at this one and look at this, and it may tell you exactly what the prompt may be. Like maybe a man looking out of an oval space. This one came up with a cave. This one came up with an arch, and it has a reflection in water. So this is smart that the AI thought of this, and looking outside and it sees a mountain and the moon, for example. I can actually assume that's basically what this person, this Demismni, whatever, came up with. And it's you can tell that the products are extremely awesome products. Look at these images. If you want to do this with Photoshop, it will take you a long time, and you have to know what you're doing to get to this kind of level. Because this is great. I don't know what kind of resolution is this thing is, but we can check it real quick. We can check it real quick what kind of resolutions they have. Let's see. What kind of resolution this thing is. Where did I save it? Under downloads. Downloads. Okay, here's the image. Okay, let's look at it's 2000. It's 2.6 megabytes. So 2.6 megabytes. The properties. So 2.57. So say 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. Not bad. It's not big. It's not, but it's enough. So 1024, 1024. It's enough. So this is not bad of an image. You can actually use something like this for a book cover. Of course, remember the book cover, if you're using it for paper, you need a very wide one. So you're gonna have to take the top and down on the bottom. And if you want to use it just for what is it, a audio, baby audio, this is actually just fine for audio, just the size it is. And if you want to use it for digital Kindle or something like that, you may need to use just a piece of it, but it would have to be like this size, this kind. Anyway, so we will leave that at that. And let's talk a little bit more. So that's Mid-Journey. If you want to go and venture a little bit and start playing with pictures and images, you'll be surprised how uh, great this tool is. A lot of people don't like it. I mean, a lot of artistic people who are losing their jobs because of tools like this don't like it. And the consensus lately is that we have to work with the AI, not against the AI. Don't think of the AI as a replacement to us, but think of it as an extension of our capabilities. So if you're artistic, you may be, this is the right time for you to use your artistic inclinations, your art, and inject it with the help of Midjourney, for example, or AI. You can create something out of this world, absolutely marvelous. So that's the challenge. That's a challenge, meaning that art has to serve, but use all the tools that we have right now. In the past, the only way for us to paint was to use a pen and a paper. Later on, after that, it became like using a computer graphics or software or whatever. And everything is advancing to the point where right now you don't even have to use pen and draw every stroke. You can come up with the idea, and the idea gets manifested in something like this. So, absolutely marvelous works. And I spent some time actually watching what's out there. You will be surprised. It is great works. And I don't know where, but I actually saw a place where you can see the prompts they used to generate these pictures. You can dig around in Discord and you can find it within the Midjourney server. You can add Midjourney also to your own server if you want to actually hide what you're doing, because remember, if you put stuff in Midjourney, and it will also be showing in the midjourney.com, it's available for everybody to use. So, but you could have your own server, like me. I have my own server. That is escape. That's this server right here, and I can add the Midjourney to my server, right? And if I do that, I don't know if I added it or not. Get motivated. Anyway, if I do that, the prompts and everything, of course, after I start paying and have the subscription, the prompts will be hidden. Nobody can see it, and it will be private. So Midjourney will still see it, belongs to them now. I mean, it doesn't belong to them. It's commercially available for everybody. But nobody else can see it but you, meaning it's private to you. And the organization is hosting it, basically. So that's about Midjourney. Now, let's talk a little bit more about, I'm going to keep this in the background. Look at the pictures my son keeps digging around for. So today, I wanted to talk about my latest book that I'm working on, and it's called Gladiator's Oath. This is a book that I started during for the month of NaNoWriMo. That's actually the 1st of November 2022 to the 30th, so the end of November 2022. Today is the 10th of December 2022, and this is the outline. Let me see if you can see. That's the outline of this book. Basically, those are the chapters. And what are the chapters? As you see, 1, 2, 3. Let me see. Just change the screen so I can show you my camera. A bigger screen so I can know what I'm showing you. So on the right side, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are chapters. And you see the ideas, basically. The kicker here is this. We tend to write about stories, and we tend to do it chronologically. But great writing, and I'm still learning this, okay, I can tell you. I've been writing for a long time, but great writing is not really to write chronologically and just say things if it was a story that you're relating to a friend about something that you did or somebody did. It has to have an ultimate goal at the end, which is to drive some emotional response from the readers. Sometimes you're going to make them laugh. Sometimes you're going to make them cry. Sometimes you're going to make them passionate, compassionate, sympathetic. You name it. Those are the feelings you create. So these feelings, we tend normally for somebody who is a pantser, they will not care. They basically will just be writing and they will include those feelings as they go. But for somebody who's an outliner like me, I need to account for those feelings so I don't miss them. So guess what? I wrote a list of them. Feelings to include, right? I even put every one of them and what they mean. And not only that, I'm going to show you the project that's actually in the works. And I use Scrivener for that. Let's see. Here's Scrivener coming. Okay, so here it is. Here's the feelings to be included. I have not written any of them. I think I haven't written any of them. I haven't written any of them yet here. Actually, they are titles. I've put them here as titles. So, as you see, loss, empathy, love, desire, honor, courage, commitment, These are Navy and Marine Corps values, by the way. Fear, strength, respect, compassion, weakness, happiness, euphoria, hope, belief, menace, hopelessness, helplessness, treason, threat, anger, rage, revenge, mercy, merciless, recklessness, impulsiveness, attentiveness, and leadership. Those are what I basically said, okay, my book definitely need to have these. They have to be in my book. So I have to figure out how to do them. And I already thought of the ideas. So actually that's why on paper I write more than I do on the digital format. Because on paper it's easy to write. Here I specifically said for each one what do I mean. For example, loss, I wrote loss of the first queen. Empathy, I put for humanity. Erosion's prophecy. Human humans will will come to Eros as benefactors. So as I go, so I think of ideas, but it doesn't mean that's what's going to end up in the book, of course. This is just initial ideas that I can develop and change around or whatever. But the objective is to make sure that these feelings and others will be there, because what I'm trying to do, I am trying to drive an emotional response from the reader. If it is the story is dry and I'm talking just like if I'm speaking in a documentary, so there is no emotional response. And that's the thing. That's the thing we tend to forget as sci-fi writers, because we tend to focus on the science itself, and we forget that we're dealing with people, emotions, and we need to account for that, because we are not there to teach people about a science that doesn't even exist. We're there to drive them into some kind of a feeling, and that's the plan. The science is just a side of the story itself. And as you probably saw, there's not a lot of stories. They include scientific stuff, but they don't even explain it. They don't even. They just create things, and they don't explain. It's like how come these people can go from one area to another in no time, or they flying in ships that looks like this or whatever. So all those things that the geeks or like me have so much thinking, we stop a movie and start digging into an image about stuff and seeing stuff that nobody cares about. So that is not important here. And as writers and authors for sci-fi, we need to really remember that it's not about the science itself. You can actually give kind of pseudo-scientific facts and just go on with it without having to explain anything or give any explanations whatsoever. And the readers will have to eat it. And that's how a lot of movies are nowadays. Now, that is for what I included here. The other thing that I'm actually trying to include is most importantly the an idea that I have. Okay, what is this idea? Let me do this. Let me open this. So I need to write it because it's important for me to just make sure it is clear. This idea is about an environment. The story I'm creating here is the Gladiator's Oath. It is basically about a planet that is a hope for planet Earth, a hope that we didn't expect. Let me just show you real quick. So planet Earth is here, and all of a sudden there is a gate that opened, a wormhole. For many, many years we tried to understand what it's called or whatever, but for some reason there is an X entity that's basically kept helping us with some kind of a science or whatever. We didn't know they're helping us without even our knowledge. They're just basically introducing things in our research, and all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of scientific advancement that we figured it is time for us to actually venture inside this gate. we will get into this gate and end up in another gate, and this is many dimensions later. This gate will get us into a planet called Eros. That's what I called it. Eros. It's an R. This is an R. That doesn't look like an R. See? Planet E, just like this. Uh-oh. That doesn't look like something I would write. Sorry for the Eros. There you go. And this is Earth. Now, this is the idea. And how to get here? Of course, regardless of the science and all that, we got to this planet. We found that there is some humanoids living here, H prime. And we call them Erosians, of course. Erosians. Now, to live with these people, this is very harsh environment. So we had to prepare people here. So we created a colony within Earth, and we basically started genetically modifying some people. And what we did is modifying them with ants. We used ants' genomes, ants' DNA, whatever, and then we can ants plus humans will give us the Herosians. Okay, the H is human. Erosians means this planet. Okay, so the Herosians. Now, this the problem we find out is because we added this new factor, we find out that the colony does not survive without a queen. So we basically found that automatically all the genetic modifications, one and only one, actually led to a queen, creation of a queen. We put the queen here. This colony flourished so much that it started controlling and helping the cities around it and became so big. This idea will be actually demonstrated and discovered at the end of the book. Okay, I'm saying this here because I don't care. If you read the book, I don't know if it's going to come up soon or not. But this is the idea that's actually going to cause all the problems. Them becoming stronger and more powerful. So the council on Earth didn't like that. Okay, so they destroyed the queen. The colony died, but the queen communicated also with a colony like this, because this is a test colony, right? And because of the success we had in this test colony, we created other colonies here. And the protectors of the colonies, we call them protectors. Just the name protectors. So protector of Queen 7 is the story is going to be about. Protector Queen 7. The queen that's alive here communicates with the queen that's alive here. We found out that two queens cannot survive in the same time, and we found out that we cannot allow a colony to be without a queen, not even an hour, because the colony kill each other and destroy each other. Everybody goes into a madness behavior, and they basically destroy each other to death until there's no one alive. Not only that, they destroy people around them too, the humans. I'm talking about here. And this is the experiment they found here. Now, what they did is they basically cloned the queen and have 24 outposts. That's what I call the protector, is actually for an outpost. 24 outposts that has frozen queens and it have protectors. When I say protectors, it means that each outpost will have a protector, but he will have hundreds of people, an army and weaponry and a whole kind of, it's almost like a city, that a small city that the protector is controlling, and the ultimate goal is to protect that queen that they have frozen in there. So that's the story, right? So the queen, the love queen, telepathically speaks with the alive queen in Eros. This queen, when killed, she basically informed this queen. This queen decided to take some action and send somebody to Earth. Protector 7 decided, because that's the only outpost that's been having so many problems, and they knew it's going to fail. They knew that the Queen 7 may basically die because they cannot keep her, they cannot maintain the outpost 7. It has way too many problems and it's almost like it's failing. So they decided, you know what? Protector 7 will be without a job soon. Let's send him. But he did not want to leave his Queen 7 back in Eros. He decided to take her with him. Once in orbit, he wakes her up. She automatically learns what's going on. They go through the gates and they end up on Earth. And Protector 7 plus Queen 7, they are the duo of the story. So what do? These two. They come back here. Protector 7 going to use technology and his power that he has from his position here, the tools he has in his disposal. He's going to create digital IDs and things like that so they can sneak into planet Earth without anybody knowing. They find out what happened here, and they find out the council is trying to find a way to destroy this gate because they are afraid of the colonies, and they want to cut ties with Eros because they're so afraid of what the colonies can do. So the investigation will be the story. Around 60% of the book will be the investigation in the middle. That investigation is basically to find out why the queen got killed and how it got killed and how to protect the colony if the queen gets killed. So this queen does not want her colony to completely die if she is destroyed. So they needed to find a solution, and that's what Protector 7 and Queen 7 will be doing. But that's the book, basically. That's the story. Now, what is the idea that we are fixing from the current lives that we live in right now to fix something that makes sense to somebody later on, right? What is it? Okay, here it is. Now, right now, like the U.S., for example, has 3 branches of government, right? So these 3 branches are what? The legislative, the executive, and judicial, right? You're gonna ask, how does each one of these branches is manned? How is it manned? The judicial is actually validated by the legislative and the executive. There must be something that says that. The legislative by the legislative, and normally, I hope that's how it is. And the executive is by the legislative and judicial. So judicial is the one who basically swears in the president of the United States. So executive, that's the president. President. Judicial, that's the Supreme Court and courts. The legislative, that's the Senate, Congress. Okay. So now, if you noticed, for each one of these to be validated and accepted, there is a decision that's taken by 50% and 50%. 50%, 50%. Well, this is not normal. So if this one equal to this one, we don't have a decision. The common sense, mathematically speaking, is to have 3 entities. another entity. We'll have J, E, for example, for this example, and then we'll call it an X, another entity. All three decide on the L. So if, and this way, odd number is key. 1, 2, 3. So an odd number is the key here. So there will be never a 50-50 chance. It's always going to be either all agree to basically approve this member, or two will agree, and if two agree, the third one is obsolete. That means the decision will be for these two. If these two agree, the decision will be for these two. If these two agree, the decision will be for these two. This one will be second. That's not important. So when we say this, it means that we need to have 4 branches. 4 branches of service. Now somebody will say, what the hell are you talking about? 4 branches, this way they will be, and the question here is, what is the 4th entity? Believe it or not, it's actually extremely simple. We're already seeing the 4th entity in play. We're already seeing that the latest executive actually counted so much on the 4th entity that he not only won a presidency between 16 and 20, but he also controls so much of the people's minds. What is it? M. The big M. Media. The media. I have nothing against the media, but we all have to know the value of the media and the importance of the media. So if this becomes a branch, shouldn't we have rules that actually, I wouldn't say control, but supervise and make sure that it's actually acting honestly and ethically and legally, right? So legally, that means we need to have the judicial system involved with the media. That's one. Makes sense, right? Lately, we've been seeing the judicial system is actually getting involved if a media says something wrong, like in the story of InfoWars. What's his name? Jones, whatever his name is. So you see that the judicial got involved, and this guy is paying a lot of money for people that he lied about. He said that the Sandy Hook shooting didn't even happen. And there's people who lost their kids and stuff, and it was sad that somebody is spitting out this lies and goes unpunished. And these people got harassed and all kind of crazy started happening to them. So what they did, they sued his ass. And they won millions and millions of dollars. And that's because of the judicial. So the idea here is, if we are about to have the media as the 4th branch, judicial system needs to be fully enforced. 1. So these 3 here, if we put in the M here, these 3 and these 4 actually, they need to validate each other. So judicial system need to be involved with the media. The media cannot fucking say anything they want and lie about shit or anything like that. They say the truth, or they need to be basically classified with a certain grade. For example, let's say this is a grade A media. Grade A media. Meaning that they have proved to the government, to the other services, to the other branches, that they deserve grade A. And let's say that grade A is the most trustworthy. So they proved to the legislative, to the executive, and to the judicial, they proved that they are trustworthy, called grade A. And so on, grade B, C, whatever. And there will be some ratings, basically, that the judicial system will have to create. Or maybe the legislative system have to create and the executive need to validate. So they'll have to all 3 work on this classification. So this means that the media will have a reason to do the best they can to get the best rating from the government. If they get the best rating, then, and if this need also to be equal to money, meaning if you are grade A, you're allowed, let's say you're allowed in all 50, for all 50 states or more, right? If you're only grade whatever, you're allowed a certain number of states. So, or maybe you're allowed a certain amount of broadcasting per day or something like that. So the judicial will have to come up with this. So basically, this needs to be so appealing to get to, and this way, this incentive will drive the media to say the truth. Okay, that's what the goal is. That is the goal. And the other side, if the media is so messed up, if they go to below C, below rating C, for example, this means that they have probation state, probation status, and they're given, let's say, 3 months to recover or be ended. Ended meaning ended. Closes, uses all their certifications, business is gone. Not change the name, not all use all those loopholes and shit like that. No, gone. All the income, everything that belonged to this grade C, like grade C media, will be part of the government, because part of the judicial department that manages all this, I would say, because this department needs to be powerful. Media are so powerful, it has to be met with similar power, and this power needs to come with money from the media itself, from the failures of the media. So that's make this power, this department so powerful, so it can keep controlling. I wouldn't say control. It's not a dictatorship or anything, but it needs to drive the media to say the truth, and lies will have no place here. If you want to lie, it's okay. Go back to grade D or whatever, or grade whatever. You can be any grade, and if you're not striking to increase your grades, you can have to say it. Maybe call it, let's say, grade unrated U, unrated media. You could be powerful, but if you're unrated, there'll be a limitation of how much income you can make or something. That's the judicial have to decide on that. So the unrated need to lose their power, definitely, and this may look crazy, but that's how it is. You cannot allow a certain power to be unchecked, and the media is a power that needs to remain checked, because if it's used by the wrong people, we have a serious problem. And that's actually the experiment that we had not long ago, and it's still so bad in our, the taste is really so bad still in our mouths. Okay, so we understand now, sorry for all the doodling, we understand now what is this idea that I have. So this idea is exactly what I have in this book. I am introducing a media variation of a branch. This media variation is not media, but it's going to be another branch, okay? At the end, this branch will be the Council of Queens. That's basically where I'm going with this. Council of Queens. You're going to ask why? Because they are irreproachable. They're genetically made to care about the people they're serving. They are genetically made superior. They are genetically made too powerful to care about money or wealth or any of that. They are genetically made to be obeyed by millions of the colonies inhabited. So there is no incentives for these queens to be impartial. Everything is about the people they serve and the cities they serve, or maybe the planets they serve, or whatever. So the idea at the end is to have a fourth branch will be made out of the Council of Queens, but before that, we will have this media. This thing is gonna be part of this book because the story we have here is in the future, and that's the plan. So, the story here is about, it's futuristic. We'll talk about quantum mechanics, quantum physics. We're going to talk about time management. We're going to be talking even about a secondary, secondary creatures, or I would call them aliens or whatever. But without giving any spoilers, I need to really Control A. Need to mention something here so important that the story here, this is Gladiator's Oath, right? And in the Gladiator's Oath, the only mention about something that are part of the other series is the Nothers. These are aliens. In the other series, which is a citizen servant, the Nothers in book 1 are bad. Nothers equal bad. They are actually, in book 1, they're actually attacking planet Earth and they're causing havoc on this planet. But in Gladiator Oath, the Nothers are good, equal good. They are helping, right? We will find out at the end why. And then for the Nothers that are bad here, we're also going to find out in the citizen servant series, the Guardians, this one, Guardians. This is the one that's basically going to talk about the Nothers. Why? We'll find out at the end. So the second one, this is one, CS2, we call it the Fulcrum Quest. Fulcrum Quest, we're gonna find out about not only the Nothers, because CS1 there is Nothers, but in the Fulcrum Quest we're gonna learn about the Elysians and the Nothers. So the Nothers are bad still. The Elysians are, they're gonna come as helpers with an agenda. And the helpers, they're gonna basically destroy and kick these people out of planet Earth. They're gonna help us get rid of the Nothers, but they're gonna give us a Elysian technology, Elysian tech. Okay, this Elysian tech will basically change the planet. 500 years after that, after they give us the Elysian tech, planet Earth is completely different. Planet changed. And in this, we have 3 entities that are living on planet Earth. We have the T-cities. We have the AI cities. And we have the marquee landers. So what are these? The turbine cities are floating cities. The AI cities are so advanced, are managed by AI, and they still have humans. Everywhere there is humans. Marquee landers are the majority. So let's say these are 90% of people still on planet Earth. The AI cities, I would say around 7%, and the turbine cities are 3%. So 3%, 7%, 90%, that's 100% of planet Earth. Planet Earth is no longer many, this is 500 years, okay? When Earth is no longer many continents, it's actually now only one gigantic continent. You can explain why? Well, that's the Elysian tech. Elysian tech and what the Elysian did to planet Earth, it fucked it up somehow. And now we have only the water became so high, everything became underwater. There is only one continent basically that's still above water. And we have the T cities here, the AI cities here, and the marquee landers in the land. All forests, by the way. Everything is actually forests. Some places are deserts closer, and then this is kind of swamps. And this is all forests. Forests, deserts, swamps, then the AI. The story will be actually just like this. I'm not going to get into the details what the story is about, but there will be quests going this way. Problem is, they're not going to be able to go this way, so they're going to decide to go this way. And they're going to pass by an island that's going to give them some hell. And that's the story of the the quests. Anyway, sorry, maybe rambling for too long. That's basically a small idea about the series. What we're working on right now. The CS1 is already out. CS2 is 89,000 words, so 89k, and this one is 60k. It was supposed to be just a novella for the CS2. This one was supposed to be one, and then I ended up with 28,000. I was like, well, you know what? This story needs to be developed a little bit better. So I ended up with 60k. It became a book one. So now this here is more exciting to me. Oh, look, it has a mouth and it has an eye. Oh, look, I can draw. Yay. Anyway, let's give him some hair. This is basically the story. What we are doing now is I'm going to show you where we are with the story. One thing I wanted to show here and to talk about that's actually extremely important to me, which is the we tend to forget and we tend to write stuff. Let me bring this up. We tend to write stuff in a chronological fashion, right? Almost like you're writing a story as you're saying it to a friend about something that happened. But as I said in the beginning, uh, you can't do that because you need to remember that you're working towards emotional responses. That is the ultimate goal. If you forget that, we forget everything. So I actually created from the very beginning to think about the emotional responses, and I mentioned that I actually create behaviors and emotional responses that I need to drive loss, empathy, love, and all that. All these that you see here. This is at a minimum what I will be showing in the book. Of course, as I'm writing, there may be more, but as I go, the moment I mention it, I'm going to go back here and write a little bit about it. I will write مثلا said it in Arabic. I will write in chapter 1, scene 5, for example, love was expressed in page X, for example. So I keep going. This way I know where I mentioned, I mean not love, loss in this case. This is loss. I'm logging the feelings that I'm using and I'm as I go. So that means, okay, good, I covered loss. Now I need to, as I keep going, okay, great, I covered empathy. And it may be expressed in different places, and that's the reason why I need to say it in here. Because if I express it in other places, I'm going to say in chapter 8, scene 1, loss express in page Y, so on. So why I'm doing this is to help me not miss the ultimate goal. Because I like to be organized. I like to actually do it as perfect as possible. You probably have not seen many of my books, but that's not a problem because right now I'm actually perfecting the the craft. That's all I'm doing. So that is one. The idea is to log and account for the feelings. The second part that I needed to make sure in this book is forget about the chronological uh, requirement or the chronological first come idea that I normally have. Now I need to look into how am I going to drive a little bit of suspense in the entire story. For example, the biggest one, and I can tell you from now, I hope you're not going to watch this before you read my book, but if you do, good on you. Or maybe I will not even post this, but if I do, good on you. The main idea is this: it has to be a big story that I'm actually going to hide from the readers, or a big fact that I'm going to hide from the readers, and not mention it all the way until the end. For example, the death of Queen Earth, the queen in planet Earth in the colony, that death. Yeah, I mentioned maybe because that queen talked to the queen or telepathically sent a message to the queen or Eros. I can make that message uh, basically incomplete. That she will send a message, but she's not gonna say everything. She's not gonna say that she got attacked or she's killed or anything like that. So the investigator, Protector 7 with Queen 7, when they come to planet Earth, they don't know if the Queen actually was killed or died or anything. They're just going to get some kind of message that the Queen from planet Eros told them, that the Queen from planet Earth told her that he's incomplete. The message is incomplete, but it does show that something big is about to happen or something like that. So that idea is basically my card that I'm going to put in here. So the the story will all be about uh, planet Eros and some secondary that is will look like it's a primary concern in the book, but it's actually going to be just a secondary concern. Once at the end, we will find out that actually the primary problem we have here is that people from planet Earth are afraid of the Queen in planet Earth and the people that she represents. And they wanted to decimate them, and they wanted even to kill everybody in planet Heroes. That is the biggest story. That's the story that will not be revealed until the end, chapter 15, right? And that's the goal. So, why I'm saying this is if I go chronologically, I'm going to end up explaining so much of this shit, and I will basically have no suspense. The reader will have no reason to continue reading. But if I create this, that's why I'm saying here that all this stuff will change. Everything here will change. It will be written or rewritten in a different way, where the stories will be there. I'm still going to explain what is a protector, what is the Eros colony, what is the Queen's powers, what's the colony in Earth. All that will be mentioned in the book somehow, uh, with a subtle fashion. In a subtle fashion, it has to be not so clear as I'm writing about them or just telling the reader about stuff. We're going to show it to the reader. Everything will be shown to the reader instead of being told to the reader. That's one. Two, the suspense needs to be so big, and the quest needs to be for something important, but the finding will be bigger than what was actually sought from the very first place. The very first place, the Protector 7 and Queen 7, they're looking for some answers for something they're dealing with. And I'm still thinking about what the message will be between Queen in Earth and the Queen in Eros. I'm still thinking about that message. So that message will drive the visit of Protector 7 to planet Earth, trying to find out what's going on. He will come, he's going to have a serious problem actually finding out about what's going on with colony in Earth. it becomes so secretive. Nobody wants to tell him what's going on. All contacts with the colony on planet Earth is cut, and he's not going to know what's going on until the end of the story, where he learns that everybody is actually dead and that Eros is next. So that's and has gonna have to. So plan the Queen Seven. She can't go back to Earth, but she and Protector Seven will have to basically rejuvenate the colony on planet Earth. That's the end story here. That's the good news at the end. But the bad news is that Queen on Earth actually did get killed, and a lot of people did kill each other because of that, because they go into madness, and people in the cities surrounding that colony are the ones who actually imprisoned the rest of the Herosians, which are like the genetically modified humans. They imprisoned them, so once Queen Seven gets actually to this colony, and they find out that there is still humans there, and they are still imprisoning, and that means that there is some hope. And this Queen Seven basically automatically, because the other queen is dead, now there is a queen. Everybody in that colony, they know the queen is alive. There's a new queen. This queen is alive, and it rejuvenates their desire to rebuild, and that's how the new colony will basically start again. That's the colony. The other thing that I'm mentioning in this book is basically there will be a time where humans will figure out how to destroy the gate to Eros. That gate gets destroyed, and immediately, few seconds after that, it almost and it reopens again. Humans don't know what happened. Erosians don't know what happened. The Erosians don't even know if it happened. But in one of the later books, I am going to explain that phase where, or maybe in this book, that that gate got reopened by not ancestors, complete opposite, by our descendants, descendant of planet Eros. They actually got to the point where they. That's the story. I didn't want to mention, but I'll say it. 200 years, and the descendants of Eros will find out that planet Earth was already doomed, and it's actually facing a great calamity that it won't survive. So they decided to go back, because in one timeline the gate actually did close, and humanity did cut ties with the Erosians for 200 years. But after 200 years, the Erosians have get to the point where they can travel in time, and the main objective they had, and because of their dedication to work and research and all that, they actually advanced in 200 years, I would say thousands of times the speed of what humanity can reach in 200 years. They advanced so much that they became, they learned about time travel, they came back, and they even learned about quantum physics, and they actually reopened the gate. Or they created a new gate, a completely new gate. The difference in this latest gate is that the gate on Eros actually opens inside the planet, on the surface of the planet, I mean. So if you go through the gate close to planet Earth, you automatically get out inside the city of the main city in Eros. Badass stuff, of course, and I love doing stuff like this. You're gonna say, why are you doing this? Well, because the Erosians needed to save the planet. They have a colony still on planet Earth, so 200 years from now, or from whatever the time the story starts, they're gonna want to save that reminiscence of their ancestors, because they reopened the gate. Of course, humans, all they saw is the gate disappearing and reappearing again. But in reality, it actually took 200 years for the Erosians to advance and to come back and rebuild it. So that's the story. The gate will be reopened. The Erosians will help uh, whoever is still on planet Earth. And they find out at the very end, some scientists in Eros will find out that actually humanity doesn't have to leave planet Earth. There is another solution. And it's to basically create a bigger gate, larger gate for the object that's heading towards Earth, and basically get it to go somewhere else, to outside of the universe and hit something else or whatever. So that's the solution, and they will. There will be the gate, and that meteorite or whatever will get through that gate and hit the sun or open up, gets to another gate that opens straight to the sun, and it will hit the sun or something so big that it's gonna cause much harm. So that's the solution. Now, all this stuff is science or whatever, but the plan is not to make it look like it's science. The story needs to be human. It's going to be about the Protector 7 and Queen 7. I still have to decide on the names. It's going to be about the queens and their relationship with people. It's going to be about these branches of service, basically. I'm not going to talk specifically about that. The idea here is clear where it came from, but I'm going to talk about this fourth branch that's basically causing so much harm and miscommunication and disinformation, and that's what's going to lead to the council to actually hate the colony on planet Earth, and that's what's going to lead to the destruction of the entire colony. So we basically using some of the truths and some of the realities we have right now, and we're going to put it in play in this story where we're going to show that when too many voices get together, they become too powerful to ignore. And what they say need to matter, and you can't just let it go because the judicial system need to be involved. Definitely need to be involved. And even if you say that I can say anything I want, I can. It cannot. If it's too many people saying the same thing, that is a power that cannot be stopped, and it can lead to tremendous harm. This is the example. And we have seen the example in the United States on the 6th of January. So many people kept saying stupid shit and spewing lies to the point too many people believed the lie. And once they believed the lie, they didn't want to believe in democracy itself. And that caused a lot of harm. And I'm afraid it may cause more in the future, mainly for the minorities. So that's the story. I need to write it specifically, as I said, to make it emotional, but at the same time, the objective is to explain that voices matter. When voices are in numbers, they are dangerous. When voices are in numbers with one person or one group fueling those numbers, then it's deadly. Thank you for joining me tonight. Appreciate your time and patience, and I hope that you like what you hear here. Make sure you go to my website, make sure you support me if you want, and hopefully have something better for you in the next one. Thank you again for your time, and have a great day.